solve for x 1.1.1. Please pause the video, guys. We hit it and come back and see how far are you in terms of understanding and simplifying such problems, guys. Yes, so let us do 1.1.1. So 1.1.1, we have x squared plus 2x minus 15 equal to 0. They say so for x for this one. So guys, for this one, there are two ways to simplify this problem. You can use quadratic equation. Get quadratic is x is equals to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This is the formula used for quadratic equations. Then if this equation is a quadratic equation, because of what it has got 3 terms with a squared involved there and a constant together with a coefficient of x and a 0 on that side. That this is a quadratic equation, a full quadratic equation that you can use to apply this equation. The value of a is the coefficient of x squared, which is 1. The value of b is the coefficient of x, which is positive 2, and the value of c is your negative 15, our constant. Where you see b, you put in 2. Where you see a, you put in 1. Where you see c, you put in negative 15, and so for x, for both positive and negative values. So let us simplify this one. So there are two ways to simplify this problem, and you can use quadratic or open 2 brackets and solve for this one. So I can literally open 2 brackets for this one, since we'll have a squared there, and equate to 0. Then I can check the factors of my x squared. The other factors of x squared is x and x. And which number can I multiply to give me negative 15 and add or subtract to give me 2? So which number can I multiply to give me negative 15? I can have 15 times 1. Okay, negative 15 times 1, negative 1 times 15. Or I can have 5 times 3 and I can have negative 5 times 3 or negative 3 times 5. All these, they give me negative 15. But from these, I need to know which 2 terms or which one product between these 4 can I use. If I add those 2 terms and they need to give me positive 2. So I know that this one does not qualify, this one does not qualify, but I can see there is 5 and 3. I know that 5 minus 3 is 2. That means I need to have 5 minus 3 here and between the 2. I know that 5 minus 3 is 2, but negative 5 plus 3 is not positive 2. We need those 2 terms that you can add or subtract to give me. You can add or subtract to give me 2. But I know that 5, this one, if I can take this one, 5 minus 3 is equals to 2. Because 5 minus 3 is equals to 2, and 5 times negative 3 is equals to negative 15. Therefore, I'm going to have 5 minus 3. Basically, the middle term takes the sign of a bigger number. Or they say the bigger number between 5 and 3. Which one is big between 5 and 3 is 5. This 5 takes the sign of the middle term, which is positive 2. So I'm going to have positive 5. Since now our 15 is negative, therefore I need to multiply these 2 terms and it must give me negative 15, not positive 15. Therefore I know that 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Negative 15, then I'm done. For now I'm done. Then I'm done in terms of finding factors. Now I need to equate. Since now I have 2 products here. The first product I need to equate it to 0, and the second product I need to equate it to 0 also. But if we had maybe any number besides 0, we can have negative 10, negative 20 on this side. We can have 2 on this side. Any number, guys. If they give you an equation like this and they say simplify, you don't equate this product to this number. No. You must have 0 on this side. Like as it is right now. You must have 0 on our right before you can simplify the product. Before you can simplify the left side, you must have 0 on one side only. So you need to simplify by using FOIL. You're going to use FOIL and transpose these 2 to the left and be left with 0 on one side. Therefore, you're able to open 2 brackets or apply the quadratic equation. Only if you have 0 on that side. Ne? Yes, but right now we have 0. So you're going to equate the first product to 0 and solve for x. Second product to 0 and solve for x. So we're going to have x plus 5 is equals to 0, or x minus 3 is equals to 0. Ne? Then you transpose this 5 to the right because I want to be left with x on one side. So you know what it's going to change the sign from positive to negative if you transpose it. So x equals negative 5, or even this negative 3 to the left to the right, it's going to change the sign from negative to positive. X is equals to 3. Then you are done with finding or solving for x for this equation. I hope you can hear me, guys. Ne? I hope you can literally hear me. Let us go to the next question, 1.1.2. But this one is for 3 marks. Ne? So you'll get your 3 marks by opening 2 brackets. You're going to get a mark and solving for x1 and having 2 solutions. You're going to get 2 marks for having these 2 solutions. Ne? Alternatively, for this one, guys, you can apply this quadratic equation here on this very same equation. Ne? Alternatively, you can say x is equals to negative b. Let us apply a quadratic equation. Negative. What is the value of b? Is 2. We open a bracket of 2 here, plus or minus square root of b is 2. We're going to have 2 squared minus 4 times a is positive 1. Our c is negative 15. Let me just write it proper here. Negative 15. All divided by 2 multiplied by the value of a is 1. Therefore, guys, if you need to solve for x here, you put these values on the calculator. But since now you have plus or minus, you're going to separate those values. You must have 2 values here, just like here. You must have or in between there. So you say on the calculator, press negative 2. You can start by saying positive or negative. You can say negative 2 plus square root of 2 squared minus 4 blah 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 over 2 times 1. Or you can start by saying negative 2 minus this one, minus square root. You don't say plus or minus on the calculator. You just say plus. You find the value for plus, and for minus you find the value for minus separately, but with the very same formula and very same values. But the difference here is the sign in the middle. The first value should be negative. You should put negative. You can have something like this on the calculator. You can have plus, then you put the value of plus here and you say or. It's going to give you maybe negative 5 or 3 to depend. The value of x will be, you say x is equals to whatever, then you say then after that you just remove the sign here and say negative. You say or x is equals to, you put the value for negative there, and then you are done. I hope you can hear me. Yeah? That's how you do it, guys. Then 1.1.2, this one, guys, is very important. Yeah? It's so important because in the examination usually this type of question guys, is so simple, because they will tell you, good, you must your answer should be in 2 decimal places. If that question comes like that, like this one, they told us, good, you must round off your answer to your nearest 2. Basically, if they tell you, good, you must round off your answer to your nearest 2, they need you to apply the quadratic equation, like it or not. There are no factors for this equation. You need to apply quadratic equation on this one. I hope you can hear me, guys. Let us apply quadratic equation here. If you see a question in the examination that says you must round off this answer to the nearest 2, it needs to apply the quadratic equation, no matter like it or not. Let us apply the quadratic equation. So you have 1.1.2. We have got 5x squared minus x minus 9 equal to 0. So this one does not need any simplification or whatsoever, because we have got it is arranged in a proper order of a quadratic equation. And here, go to quadratic equation, we have ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. So the value of a is 5, the value of b is -1, invisible again. Then the value of c is -9 equal to 0. And therefore, our equation is arranged in a quadratic formula. Therefore, you don't need to do anything. You just need to go straight to the quadratic equation and apply it here in the question. Let us apply the quadratic equation for this one. So you've got x is equal to -b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2 times a. So guys, immediately when the question says the answer should be in the nearest 2 decimal places, it means your answer will be in commas here. That's what they're telling you basically. So let us simplify. So this negative is very important. You just put it first before you can do anything about whatever b has got. Then you have b okay, -1 okay. Then you open the bracket. It's very important to open the bracket, because if you don't open the bracket, you get it wrong sometimes. You just need to just put the negative of b and the negative of b on the question, which is -1. Here's it. Then plus or minus square root of, what's the value of b? Is also -1 squared minus 4. What's the value of a? Is 5. What's the value of c? Is -9. All divided by, what's the value of a? 2 times 5. Then therefore, x is equals to, so guys, you take your calculator. Take your calculator, guys, and you put the fraction and you put on the fraction form and say negative, open a bracket, -1, close the bracket. You can start by saying plus or minus. Your choice, you need to start with any of the two signs. You can have plus or minus here, it's not a problem. Yeah? So if I can have negative, so minus -1, I can say plus square root of, open bracket, -1, close the bracket, squared, and here squared, minus 4 times, open bracket, 5, close bracket, open bracket again, -9, close the bracket. Then you shift your mouse to the bottom where there are two fractions and there. Then you see on the bottom side, or on our denominator, you have 2 multiplied by 5. So it's 2 open bracket 5. So we did it for plus, and here, so we're gonna have negative times negative is positive, and here, so we're gonna have +1 plus square root, and here square root of. So I would suggest that you separately simplify them. So you just say square root of, and get, then you say, I get is negative times negative is +1 plus, plus. You leave out for minus. For now, you leave out this minus. For now, you leave it out. We're starting with positive plus, and get, then square root. Then on the calculator, you just say you use the square root side. On the calculator, you say square root, and yeah, guys, square root bracket -1 squared. Draw your 2 brackets. You have got -1 squared. So guys, -1 squared, and yeah, and -1 squared minus 4 times 5 times -9. This is how it looks like. Never. This is how it looks. Since I've just focused on our discriminant, then the value for our discriminant is the square root of 181. So this is the value of including the square root sign. You just include the square root sign all over. What is the value of 2 times 5 is 10, or x is equals to 1. We have put positive here, we're going to have negative here, minus the very same value, square root of 181, all divided by 10. So you got this square root of 181 on the calculator. I included the square root sign on my calculator, just like it is. Okay, can you see it, guys? I have included the square root sign here. The square root of 181, my answer there. So now you must include it. Therefore, separately, you just say 1. Just introduce the sign here. You have 1 plus square root. You can just say answer, square root of 181 divided by 10. On the bottom, divided by 10. Then your answer is there is, you need to get, remember you must round off to your nearest 2 decimal places. Therefore your x is equals to 1, 4. Come on here, 4, 4, 5. You're gonna have 4, 4, 6. Or your x is equals to, we have 1 minus. So you just, where you see plus there on the calculator, you replace it by minus. Where you see plus, you say, you just remove it and say minus there. Then you get the answer. The answer is, your answer is negative 1, is 245. That means you're gonna have 25. Then you are done with solution for this one. I hope you can understand this question, guys, and I hope you get it correct. So usually for this one, it's for 3 marks now. 3 marks. How will you get 3 marks? You have found your solutions, and you have substituted correctly all the values on the quadratic equation. Therefore, that's how you find the quadratic equation. Guys, you must go into the examination knowing how to use quadratic formula, because they want to ask you the very same questions, like it or not. These two first questions are necessary, are going to be there on Friday. No matter you will get them on Friday. These 2 first questions, they will appear, but they will just change form, or they will just change numbers there, but they will exist. You can literally put something here. You can put 5. They can put 2x squared. They can put whatever, but it will be the very same method that you're gonna use. The first question will just apply the very same technique you applied. The second question will force you to apply the quadratic equation. They will force you to apply it for second question. You must not run away from this quadratic equation. They will ask you tomorrow for the first thing the examination, they will ask you about quadratic equation. You must know it by heart. Please, guys, know it by heart. They will ask you about quadratic equation. You must know it by heart. Please, guys, please, please go into the examination knowing about how do we apply the quadratic equation. It's very important. Then let's go to 1.1.3. This one, it's so necessary to do it because it's going to appear in your examination. So 1.1.3 is necessary. It's going to appear noma kanjani, inequality. So this one is very simple, guys. Let's do it. So don't be hard on yourself. We have x squared smaller than or equal to 3x. This one you can see it. Okay, how can I simplify this one? It's so simple. So if you have squared here and a coefficient of x, which is a number, therefore you can have a quadratic equation basically. So just transpose this 3 to the left. So you need to find our critical values. But if we can find our critical values, you can literally just say transpose this 3x to the left and have x squared minus 3x smaller than or equal to 0. So this type of questions, guys, they need to apply the quadratic equation or the quadratic formula, or to open 2 brackets. So this type of question of inequality, usually in grade 12, you must apply a quadratic equation. They are in a quadratic form, usually in most cases, or if not all cases. So you need to, if you see a question like this one, just be informed of what you need. There's a quadratic equation that exists here. Just transpose this 3x to the left and see what you can see that there's light here. There's light. Ne? So now CV. CV stands for critical values. So we're gonna have x squared minus 3x equal to 0. Just replace this thing with equal sign here. We'll come back to this one after you have found our critical values or our roots, or after you have solved for x basically. Now, if you have this equation like this one, it's so simple, guys, because we've got x squared minus 3x equal to 0. If you have 0 on the side, it's good, correct, né? But if you had maybe 4 on the right, you need to transpose this 4 to the left so that you can be left with 0 on the right. That's our aim for any quadratic equation. We don't need any constant here on the, we just need 0 on the other side only, not any number. 0 fail. So if you have 0 here and you have equation like this one, and you have a minus or plus, if you have minus or plus, you need to find the common factor all the time. If you have plus or minus in the middle of two terms, you need to apply the concept of common factor. But this common factor you apply it if and only if you have something common between these two terms. What's common between x squared and 3x? On x squared, it 3x. It is x. There is x on the left, there is x on our first term, and there is x on our second term. Therefore, take it outside by factorizing. You factorize it out by introducing brackets all the time. So you take out the lowest exponent between x squared and 3x. Again, we have two x's here and we have 1x. Between 2x's and 1x, which one is the lowest? Is 1x. You take it outside. Then we have 1 here, invisible 1 and 3. They are not common, so you just leave it out. You focus on the x. Then you open a bracket. Now, which term can I multiply with my common factor to give me x squared? Is x, because x times x is x squared. Or you can literally divide your first term, x squared, divided by my common factor, to find this one that you cannot put inside the bracket. So you know what this is the exponent, x squared divided by x. Same basis, you subtract exponents. When you divide same basis, you subtract exponents. So I'm going to have x to power 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is equals to x. This is my x here. Then minus, which number or which term can I multiply with my common factor to give me negative 3x? Alternatively, you can say this is the very same second term here, negative 3x. I divide it by my common factor, which is x. You divide it by your common factor, which is x. Then if you divide same basis with the same exponents, they divide each other or they cancel each other. Therefore, x cancel x. We're left with negative 3. So we're going to have negative 3 here equal to 0. That's how you simplify it, guys. That's how you literally simplify such problems. That's how you simplify such problems. Therefore, you have 0 on the right. It's so simple. You have 0 on the right, and you have two products here. The first product is x, and our second product is x minus 3 inside the bracket. Therefore, the first product to 0, and the second product to 0. So for x. So the first product is x, you equate it to 0, or the second product is x minus 3, that you need to equate to 0. Therefore, on here you have x equals to 3 because of what? I transpose this negative 3 to the right. Guys. Now, I'm not done because this is an inequality. Therefore, you need to apply, there are many methods you can use here. You can literally apply the number line method, or you can draw the graph of this function. But the simplest one is apply the number line, the number line method. So this is how you apply the number line method, guys. You have something like this, and you just put these values on the number line. So you know what 3 is bigger than 0. So we're going to have 0 in the middle here, and have 3 on our right, because on our right is these are positive values, and on our left they are negative values, but 0 is in the middle. So here you have negative values. You have -1, -2, -3, -1,000. On the right you have 3. You have 1, 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up until infinity. Ne? Yes, guys. That's how you draw a number line. It's like that's how it's like drawing a graph basically with x-intercepts. These are basically x-intercepts, by the way. Yeah, these are actually x-intercepts when you draw the graph of parabola. Now, we know that when you draw the graph, now you know the rules of inequality. So now let us check. Is this sign of ours negative or positive? And this equation should be smaller than or equal to 0. Which values are smaller than 0? How do values that are smaller than 0 look like in terms of the sign? They are negative. Values that are smaller than 0, they are negative. Hence this x squared minus 3x, it is smaller than 0. That means it is negative. It is negative, this value of ours. That is smaller than 0. Which means whatever they're going to put here must be negative. Now, you know the rules of a number line. What's about in between our critical values or between your roots, you find values or roots that are what? That are what, guys? That are negative. So between our roots, it's a rule for any inequality question you can come around. In the examination, just draw this signs here. Just draw this signs. Just draw this signs in the examination. Then the values that are on the left of our first root, which is 0 in this case, those values are positive. Those roots must be positive. Whatever that you must get must be positive. Then the values that are bigger than our second root, which is 3 in this case, they are also positive. So we only find values that are negative between our two roots. This applies to all questions of inequality. Just memorize this rule for number line. You will get it correct in examination. Because now, we remember we said that our sign here is negative. Because of what? It says go to x squared minus 3x should be smaller than or equal to 0. Which values? How do a sign of a value that is smaller than 0 looks like between a positive sign and a negative sign? Values that are smaller than 0 are negatives, and -1, -10, -20. We need these values there. And from our term line or from our number line, between which interval do you find values that are negative? From our term line, there are values between 0 and 3. That's why you find our negatives. Therefore, you draw our balls there. But our ball governing, we have equal sign here. You shade them. You shade. Wabo. After you have shaded there, you just say, okay, between drawing an arrow to the sideways or in between of my critical values. Because of what? My sign here is negative. It's negative, they relate, and therefore you just put a line between there. Then you are done with drawing the number line. If this sign was the opposite, if you had something like this, bigger than or equal to 0, governing, we are saying x squared minus 3x should be bigger than 0. Which values are bigger than 0? Their sign, in terms of their signs, they are positive. Therefore, between which interval do we find those values that are positive? You just draw your number line like this, guys. Just draw your number line like this. Wabo. You remove this one, obviously. If we had something like this, if they are positive or if our sign is greater than 0, you just draw your signs on the sideways and say x is equal to 0. You just say x is more than or equal to 0, or x is bigger than or equal to 3. But now we have a different case. We have a sign that is very different in this case. Since now the values that are negative are between 0 and 3. This is how you're gonna write your inequality interval. I hear you saying those x values are between. So you don't want to include or in our answer here. Are between 0 and 3. Therefore, x will be bigger than 0 always. They look like this always. That's how our number line looks like. Always. It looks like this always. But if our signs were shaping in the opposite side, then we'll say x is bigger than or equal to 0, or x is, no, I'm wrong, guys. X is smaller than or equal to 0, or x is bigger than or equal to 3. If our arrows were looking like this, if we had a bigger than or equal to here, but now we have a different one, therefore you leave it like that. You leave it, the correct one is this one, not this one. You will get it wrong if you write it like this way. If our interval is behaving like this, or is between 0 and 3, then you must write it this way, not this way. But if our signs or our arrows were sideways, we're looking at sideways but not in the middle, then we'll just literally write it like this one. I hope you can hear me. Yes, I hope you can literally hear me. Now guys, I hope you're good. Let us go to the next question here. Next question is very simple, Leona. I hope you're still with me. I hope guys you have attempted to answer these questions before coming to solutions here. I hope you have answered the question. 1.2. We are given that a plus 64 over a equal to 16. Therefore, they are saying that you must solve for a. From this one, solve for a. How will you solve for a, guys? How will you solve for a for this type of question? How will you solve for a for this type of question? How will you solve for a? It's very simple, ne? Now remember, we have a over 1 here, ne? We have 16 over 1 here. We have a plus in the middle. Therefore, if you have something like this and you have a sign in the middle here, therefore you multiply. Listen to me. You will multiply our denominator with each and every term. Therefore, we're going to have this a. Opening, we have 1 and 1. You must multiply your numerators in your denominators in order to find the common factor, or the lowest common multiple, or lowest LCD. Yeah, your LCD. What is our LCD here? Now remember, how do you find your LCD? By multiplying each and every term on your denominator. On your bottom side, we have 1 times a times 1. What is 1 times a times 1 is a. Therefore, this a is going to multiply each and every term you see. Yeah. So, what is a times a? A squared. What is a squared plus? What is a times 64 over a? And get a multiplied by 64 over a. Now we have a over 1. And so this a will divide this a, we're left with 64. Therefore, we're going to have plus 64 equal to 16 times a is 16a. I can see that this is a quadratic equation. Never mind the a there. I can see this is a quadratic equation. Therefore, you must have 0 on one side. That thing must be. It's very important to understand that you must have 0 on one side. For you to recognize that this is a quadratic equation, you must have a 0 on one side. So you're going to transpose this 16a to the left. So I'm going to have a squared. You write it proper. Common is plus. You're going to have minus 16a plus 64 equal to 0. This is how it looks like. This is the correct one here. Simple, ne? Now, if you have something like this, guys, you have a quadratic equation, a full quadratic equation. And please, if you don't know how to find factors through opening two brackets like this, please apply the quadratic equation. Therefore, in this case, you're solving for a. So you guys, if you apply quadratic equation, you're just going to say a is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Please apply this equation if you have a quadratic equation like this one. Please, to get marks, don't confuse yourself by factorizing. Don't factorize this thing. Let's apply the quadratic equation if you don't understand how to factorize this equation, but I'm going to assist you today. Now, what are factors of a squared? We have a and a. Please apply this one. Don't apply the factorization method because it might confuse you. Please, guys. You have factors of a squared is a and a. Then which number can I multiply to give me 64? Add or subtract to give me the very same two numbers. When I add them, they must give me 16. When I subtract them, also they must give me 16. It will depend. So which number can I multiply to give me 64? Which number can I multiply to give me 64? The first number that comes into my mind is 8 multiplied by 8. It gives me 64. That means, since right now our answer is positive, that means we might have a positive in terms of the sign, positive. But now our middle term is negative. We might also have negative 8 multiplied by negative 8. Keep guy, 64, a positive. This negative will represent our middle term. Now, which two terms again? We can have both 64 times 1, any two terms. When you multiply them, must give you 64. As long as they give 64, they are form part of. But now we need a common factor, basically. Simple, ne? Now, for 16, so you can go all and all, but I can see that 8 plus 8, it relates with 16 because 8 plus 8 is 16. 8 plus 8 must give me the middle term. Remember, which two numbers, when I multiply them, they give me my last term, and which two numbers from these you have found, they must give you the middle term, which is negative 16. I can see that 8 plus 8, 8 plus 8, 8 plus 8 is 16. It can be any number, guys. As long as that number, when you multiply it, it must give you 64. The very same number you found that became multiplied to give you 64. When you add it or subtract it, it must give you 16. Now, right now I say 8 plus 8 is 16, but it's wrong because of what? I need negative 16. But I know that negative 8 minus 8 is equals to negative 16. That means I'm correct now. I have negative 8 minus 8 is equals to negative 16, and I have negative 8 times negative 8 is equals to 64. That means they are common. Negative 8, negative 8, negative 8, negative, they are common. Therefore, I'm going to have 8 here, 8 here. If I have my 8 here, my signs, the bigger number takes the sign of the middle term. Which one between 8 and 8 are big? Is big. They are both big, and they are both the same. Therefore, I'm going to have negative and negative here. Wow. Then after that, here, guys, since right now we have two products, so we can have two solutions basically. So the first product is a minus 8 equal to 0, or my second product is a minus 8 is equal to 0. Therefore, I'm going to take this negative 8 to the right. Then I'm going to have a is equal to 8, or a is equal to 8. So I have two solutions. This is my answer for my first question. I hope you can literally hear me. I hope you can literally hear me, guys. Now let us go to 1.2.2. Please, they will make it for 3 marks. So they will just say you have put in you have transposed this 16 to the left, and you have opened two brackets, and you have found solutions. So they might give you 4 or 3. It will depend. 1.2.2, 1.2.2, 1.2.2, 1.2.2, 1.2.2, 1.2.2, guys. It's very simple. 1.2.2. It's so simple. 1.2.2, 1.2.2, 1.2.2. They're saying, hence solve for x. 2 to the power x plus 2 to the power 6 minus x equal to 16. If they say hence, they mean there might be similarities between the very same question and the previous one. So you might apply the same method, or there's something that is going to be similar between these two questions. Hence they say hence. But it does not mean you must deviate from what you understand. Solve for x, basically. Solve for x for this one, guys. Let us solve for x. Now, when you want to solve for x for this type of question, if you have a sign in the middle between positive and negative, you don't add exponents. No, you only add exponents if we had multiplication here. But now we have a sign which is positive in this case. If you had only positive or negative, just separate these two. So we're gonna have 2 to the power x plus 2 to the power 6 multiplied by 2 to the power negative x equal to 16. Why do I separate them? Even though I know what two same bases you add exponent, I can say about 6 plus negative x negative, get about 6 plus negative x is equal to 6 minus x. So it's gonna go back to the question. That's why I separated them. So it does not mean anything there. Ne? Now guys, how do you simplify this one? This one is very, very important to understand it. Ne? Now, our aim if in this case, you must look out if your basis with a variable are the same in terms of the sign, it's how, and the values at inside the coefficient. Now, what is the coefficient for this one? For 2 to the power x, and we have got 2 to the power negative x. Focus on the basis with variables to simplify this type of question. Now, our first base is 2 to the power x, our second base is 2 to the power negative x. These are bases. 2 yarona on both sides has got different signs, or has got the variables, which is x and x. But this x and this x are not the same in terms of the sign. If our signs, because we have -1 here, invisible -1, and invisible +1 here, we need to have, it's either we must have negative exponent, positive exponent. They must be the same in terms of the number and everything. And basically, you must either have 2 to the power x and 2 to the power x for this one, or must have 2 to the power negative x or 2 to the power negative x. It will depend. So our aim is to change this thing to become negative. I'll change this positive to become negative. Now, the very same question, you must answer it. How do you simplify this one, guys? Can you try it? Now, our aim is to make sure that our exponents are the same in terms of the sign and everything. Ne? Let us apply this method. Now, I need to be very sensitive to this one because it might appear, guys. So we have x and negative x. We need to have x and x. We need to have x and x, not x and negative x. They must be the same in terms of the sign and everything. Now, you know that, for an example, if I have x to the power -1, then they say in calculus, you need to simplify it. What is the value of this? How will you change this to a positive exponent? Positive PE. PE means positive exponent. How will you simplify this thing to a positive exponent? You know that you just flip it until you have over 1 here. If you flip it, you're gonna have this one will come as our numerator, and this x to the power -1 will be our denominator. So we're gonna have something like this equal to 1 over, but the difference will be the sign of this exponent around x, and which is going to be +1 in this case. So just flip them. So we have 2 to the power x. Our aim is to have positive x on both sides, plus, now I have 2 to the power x multiplied by 2 to the power -x. It's so simple. Ne? Now, to apply our method here, whatever guys, this 2 to the power -x, to change the sign of our exponent, this thing must come at the bottom. So you're going to have something like this, 2 to the power x all divided by 2 to the power x. That's how you just flip it. Whatever that is negative, the inverse of 2 to the power x, basically they're saying, what is the inverse of 2 to the power negative? What is the inverse of this thing? Or petrolel thing? Okay, 1 over 2 to the power x. This is what we did here. What is the inverse of 2 to the power -x? Since we have multiplication here, I'm multiplied by 1. So this one stays on top. and this 2 to the power x goes on the bottom. But in this case, we have 2 to the power 6. This 2 to the power 6 stays on top, 2 to the power 6, and our 2 to the power x goes at the bottom. That's how it will look like. Ne? Please, guys, please understand this one. Equal to 16. If you don't understand, just reverse and come back. Ne? Or you can literally comment section. You can go to the comment section and ask me how do you do it. I'll explain it up until you understand it. Now, in this case, we have now our aim is being concluded. The exponents are the same right now. How do you simplify it, guys? How do you simplify it? How do you simplify it? Now, how do you simplify this one? It is becoming very difficult. Ne? How do you simplify this one? How do you simplify it? Now, our exponents are the same now. It's x and x, no longer negative x and x. That's our aim. Our exponents should be the same. Now, if you have this type of question wherein you have got your exponents the same, apply K method. Even if you had Muhlala, they can give you something like this in the examination. Ne? For an example, they can give you, we can have an equation like this one, 2 to the power x, 2 to the power 2x. You will apply K method and say, let K be equal to 2 to the power x and solve for x there. It will be simple. Maybe if you want this type of question, if you want me to solve this type of question, please comment on the comment section or on my personal account. I will just help you to simplify this type of question. Eh? Yes, if you might come across it on Friday, we don't know. So if you have something like this, you will need to apply the very same method that I'm going to apply right now. K method. Ne? You apply the very same method, K method. You just say, let K be equal to the base with an exponent that is called a variable. What is the smallest variable there? Wherein our base has got an exponent that is a variable. We focus on these two. To let K, you must focus on these two. You take out the smallest exponent. You just say let K be equal to the smallest base with an exponent. That's a variable. Between x and x, which one is small? They're the same. Ne? Therefore, we're going to have let K be equal to 2 to the power x. Ne? Then where you see K, where you see 2 to the power x, you let K be that one. Where I see 2 to the power x, I put in K. Therefore, we're going to have K plus 2 to the power 6 over K plus equal to 16. Ne? It's simple, label. It's simple. Ne? Then now, solve for K. Now you are okay, just say let x. Let me just say let x. It is very same method. Let x. Let me just say let x. To be familiar with you. Ne? K is still the same. Still, it is K method basically. There's no difference there. You can let just any letter you can use, just as long as that letter is familiar to you. You can use any letter. You're not boxed to use K further, but this is K method. This is K method that you know. This is the very same K method that you need to apply here. Now solve for x here, or solve for K or whatever. Any letter you can choose. It's the same. Yeah? Solve for x. How do you gonna solve for x here, guys? Whatever we have x over 1, 16 over 1. The very same method we applied on our previous question, you're gonna apply it here. Now you find the LCD. What is our LCD here? How do you find LCD? Lowest common denominator. You multiply your denominators. 1 times x is x. X times 1 is x. Therefore, our LCD is x. You want to multiply each and every term by x. Now, x times x, x squared. Now, our second term is 2 to the power 6 over x multiplied by x. And you multiply each and every term by x. Therefore, I get x to the power 1. Now, this x will divide this x, be left with 2 to the power x. And so you're going to have, what is the value of 2 to the power x in terms of, if we put in a calculator, what's the value of 2 to the power x? Simplify it, and it's a constant. Therefore, just to put in a calculator, therefore it's 64. 64. Now, 16 times x is equals to 16x. Now, guys, I hope I hope. Now, I can see that I have a squared here. That means I might have a quadratic equation, but I'm not convinced enough that this is a quadratic equation. How do you know that this is a quadratic equation? Therefore, I'm going to transpose this 16x to the left and be left with x squared. It's going to change the sign from negative 16x plus 64 equal to 0. This is my equation. This is how my equation looks like. Ne? Equal to 0. Then now, x squared minus 6x plus 16 equal to 0. Ne? Then from these, I can apply the quadratic equation or the quadratic formula. X equals to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. I can apply my quadratic equation. This is now I have 0 on one side and I have 3 terms with a squared and coefficient of x and a constant. I can apply my quadratic equation here. But to save time, when if the brackets, just use quadratic equation. It's not a problem. So I'm gonna save time and say just apply 2 brackets there and equate it to 0. Then let me just do it properly, guys. Let us do it properly. So I'm gonna open 2 brackets there and equate our answer to 0. What are factors of x squared is x and x. What are factors of 64? I think this question is the same as the previous one. So we're going to have which number can I multiply to give me 64? Add or subtract to give me 16. 8 times 8 is 64 and 8 plus 8 is 16. But the signs, the bigger number takes the sign of middle term. That's why we have a sign negative in the middle. Therefore, which one between 8 and 8 is big? Because 8, they're the same. Therefore, they're going to carry same signs. Negative 8 times negative 8 is positive 64. Negative 8 minus negative 8 is negative 16. Negative 8 minus 8 is negative 16. Negative 8 times negative 8 is positive 64. Therefore, x minus 8 is equal to 0 or x minus 8 is equal to 0. Therefore, obviously, x is 8. You are done. They are the same, and x equals to 8, x equals to 8, so they are done. You are done with the question. I hope you can literally hear me, guys. Ne? Now, we're not done. We're left with 2 questions. Ne? We're left with 2 questions. We are left with 2 questions that are very important for me to go through. Ne? I did not write them because of what spacer CEO, hence spacer CEO, hence. So this question is says 1.3. 1.3 says without using a calculator, comma, find the value of now this question they love it. Ne? This type of questions they like to trigger your mind to think. Ne? Find the value of this thing. Square root of 2 to power 1002 plus 2 to power 1006 all divided by 17 multiplied by 2 to power 998. How do you want to simplify this one, guys? How will you simplify this one? I think it's very simple. Ne? To simplify this is very simple. So how do you simplify this one? Now, you cannot put this on. You're gonna get error. By the way, it's gonna say math undefined if you put all this answer in your calculator. So it's very important to simplify it without using a calculator. Ne? Now let's check. Leave out this square root sign for now. Let me just say this square root sign does not exist. Treat it as if this square root sign for now do not exist. Ne? Just put it in here. Then now I have 2 to the power 1002 plus. I'm thinking of a common factor right now because my bases are the same. Just like the previous answer. Look out for the common factor between my first term and my second term. Ne? 2 to the power 1002 plus 2 to the power 1006. Without using a calculator, find the value of this thing without using a calculator. Now, our aim here, if you have something like this without a variable, our aim is to look at what's common on both sides. I can see that I have 100 on both sides on my numerator only. I have 100 on my numerator on both sides. And I have 2 on both sides. That means 2 is common, 100 is common. But I only have 2 digits, last digits that are not the same. Now, from those 2 digits that are not the same, from them, you must look out for what's common between 2 and 6. Between 2 and 6, what are factors of 2? Or, what's common between 2 and 6? Can 2 be found in the factors of 6? Yes. That means 2 is common on both sides. This 2 is common on our first bracket, on our first term, and 2 also is common on our second bracket. Therefore, take 2 outside the bracket. Take what's common outside the bracket and factorize. Now, I know that 2 is common and 100 is common. Okay? And I know that 2 is common also on both sides. Therefore, I'm going to have 2 to the power 1002. And you factorize, you open a bracket there. Then now, which term can I multiply with my 1002 to the power 1002 to give me 2 to the power 1002, to give me my first term, which is 2 to the power 1002. Now, I know that 1 multiplied by this gives me this. 1 times 2 to the power 1002 is going to give me my first term, which is equal to 2 to the power 1002. Plus, which number, guys, can I multiply with my second term to give me 2? I mean, which term can I multiply with my common factor, which is 2 to the power 1002, to give me my last term, which is 2 to the power 1006? Basically, which number can I 2 to the power 102 multiplied by which term can I multiply with 2 to the power 1002 to give me 2 to the power 1006? Now, since I'm multiplying, I'm expecting to add my exponents, and therefore my basis will be the same. So I must have 2 on both sides. Now, which term? Now, if my basis is the same, I need to find that variable I can add with 1002 to give me 1006. Now, I know that I have 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006. That means I need to add 4 to give me 1006. I get whatever the bases are the same. Therefore, you add exponents. You just put 1002 plus 4 is 1006. That means my common here is 2 to the power 4. It's common. All divided by this thing on the bottom. I just put it like that for now. I'll come back to it. This equal to, now I have a constant inside the bracket. I add it. If you add what's inside the bracket, you're gonna have 2 to the power 1002, open a bracket, 1 plus 2 to the power 4 is 17. 1 plus 2 to the power 4 is 17, all divided by 17 multiplied by 2 to the power 998. Therefore, I am multiplying here. If you multiply, you can divide the numerator, add our denominator if they're the same. I know that 17 divided by 17 is 1. Therefore, I no longer have 17. Then finally, the square root of 2 to the power 1002, all divided by 2 to the power 998. Neighbor, guys. Therefore, if I continue with this method, I can see that my bases are the same, and I'm dividing here. If the bases are the same, just subtract the exponent. Subtract the exponent. That means you're gonna have square root of 2 to the power 1002 and minus not minus h, minus here on my exponent 998. Why am I doing this? Because of what? I am dividing the same basis. Therefore, I need to subtract my exponents. Therefore, on your calculator, just say 1002 minus 998. On your calculator, just say 1002 minus 998. Keep guy. Give 2 to power 4. Now, what is the value of 2 to power 4? If you put this on a calculator, therefore, I get 2 to power 4 is 16. Then what is the root of 16? Is 4. The last answer is 4. Then you are done. You are done with this question. I hope you can hear me, guys. You are done with this question. That's how you simplify it. There are various questions that are going to appear. They usually give you this triggering questions, but please understand them. Please understand them. Please understand them. It's very important to understand such questions, such type of questions. It's very important to understand these types of questions. Now, the last question, I did not write it because of what space 1.4, which is our last question for this session. Solve for x and y simultaneously. Solve for x and y simultaneously. Here is a question. 2x minus y equal to 2 and 1 over x minus 3y equal to 1. Therefore, we have these two equations. Solve for x and y simultaneously. I get what's the first step for simultaneously. You just introduce two equations. Let me just use a different color. Let me just use the very same color. It's not a problem. So, for simultaneous equations, you just introduce two equations first. So my first equation, you have 2x minus y equal to 2. My second equation, you have 1 over x minus 3y equal to 1. Then now, from these, I cannot use substitution, but I can introduce my third equation. I can introduce my third equation by saying from between the two, which equation is simplest, which equation from the first one and the second one can I introduce the third equation between the two. I can see that I can put this y on one side only to have my third equation. It's very simple to put this y on one side to have my third equation. How am I going to simplify this thing? Now, I need y to be my subject of the formula. That's my aim. Therefore, I'm going to take these 2x to the right. So if I simplify it, I'm going to have something like this. Negative y is equals to 2 minus 2x. Then now, I'm left with negative y on the left. I need to have positive y, not negative y. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. Therefore, y 2 divided by negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 1 is positive 2x. Therefore, my third equation, I'm going to have y is equals to negative 2 plus 2x, which is my equation number 3. I hope you can literally understand what's happening here. I just transpose this 2x to the right and divide both sides by negative 1. Which one? This one, this negative 1 I found when I left this negative y on the left as my subject of the formula. Therefore, I divide both sides by negative 1. Then I said 2 divided by negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 2x divided by negative 1 is positive 2. Yeah. Now, since now I found my equation number 3, I need to substitute equation number 3 into equation number 2. So you cannot substitute equation number 3 into equation number 1, because already you have used equation number 1 to find equation number 3. So you just use the different equation. Then I used equation number 2. Substitute 3 into 2. This means where I see y on my equation number 2, I put in negative 2 plus 3x. Here's my y. So in equation number 2, I have 1 over x minus 3 open bracket. Why I see why I put in negative 2 plus 2x. So I'm going to have negative 2 plus 2x is equals to 1. Is equals to 1. Let me just shakula on this side and finish it off very fast. Please follow me. Follow the steps, guys. Follow the steps here. Follow the steps. Yeah. Follow the steps. Follow the steps. Then now, simplify it. 1 over x. And remember, we have a bracket here. So this negative 3 will multiply each and every term inside the bracket. So negative 3 times negative 2, okay? Positive 6. Negative 3 times positive 2x, okay? Negative 6x is equals to 1. Now, like terms. Do we have like terms here? I think yes. 6 and 1 are like terms. Then this one and this one are like terms also. But for now, let us add the exponent. Let us add the constants here. So I'm going to have 1 over x minus 6x. You group them. But now, if I take this 1 to the left, I'm going to have 6 minus 1. Keep plus 5 equal to 0. Your aim you should have 0 on one side. That's my aim for now. That's my aim. You must have 0 on one side. Then now, since now I have decided my aim now is to find x. Solve for x in this case. If you have a fraction like this one, look out for LCD. That's your aim. If you have a fraction, look out for your LCD. Now, what is LCD? The lowest common denominator. Therefore, we must focus on the denominator side. So, you multiply your denominators. X times 1 x, x times 1 x, x times 1 x. That means my LCD is x. I'm going to multiply with x with each and every term I see. Now, 1 over x times x, 1 over x multiplied by x over 1. And x over 1 is the same thing. They divide like 1 minus negative 6x divided by x. X divided by x, negative x. Oh, I multiply. So I'm going to have negative 6x multiplied by x. Negative 6x times x. Negative 6x x squared, because x times x squared. Plus 5 times x. Give 5x equal to 0 times x is 0. It's the same as 0. Yes. Then now, I can see that I have a quadratic equation, but for now, I need to arrange it in a proper order of having 6x squared as my starting term, and have 5x as my middle term, and have positive 1 as my last term, and have 0 on the other side. That's how I'm gonna look. That's how it's gonna look like. Negative 6x squared plus 5x plus 1 equal to 0. Then, without going anywhere, guys, without breaking your mind, without breaking whatever, without breaking your mathematical don't. If we have an equation like this one, it's a quadratic equation. Therefore, apply the quadratic formula to solve for x. That's it. So, x, without wasting any time, x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. Then, what's it about? Ki b ya how, ki a ya how, ki c ya how. Done. Simplify, substitute. We have negative, what's the value of b? Ki 5. Plus or minus square root of, what's the value of b? Ki 5 squared. Minus 4. What's the value of a? Ki negative 6. Ne? What's the value of C? Positive 1. Then you divide it by 2 multiply. What's the value of A is negative 6. Then X here how? You just equate it here. Then now, guys, I don't have a space here. Ne? I do not remove whatever that is written on my right there. So I'm gonna say X here is equals to negative 5 plus. So now I get whatever to plus or minus. You just start with plus and say on your calculator, put this square root of 5 squared minus 4 times negative times 1 on a calculator. So I'm gonna have put this on a calculator here. So you're gonna have square root of, and just put the square root of, if I just focus on whatever that is inside the bracket, inside the square root side, negative 6 times 1 again. So my answer is 7. Whatever is inside the square root there is 7 again. So negative 5 plus 7 all over 2 times negative 16, negative 12 again. Negative 12. I've put this plus for this one again. Therefore my X is equals to on your calculator you just say negative 5 plus 7 again. Keep guy 2. Then 2 divided by negative 12. Keep guy negative 1 over 6. Negative 1 over 6. That's for positive, but for negative, X is equals to negative 5 minus, and here is a plus, minus, minus 7 over negative 12. Then my answer is going to be, on the calculator, just say, on the calculator, just say negative 5 minus 7, keep guy, negative 12. Negative 12 divided by negative 12, keep guy, negative, positive 1. Therefore, another value of X here, how, 1. Then you have simplified your X, you come to the Y. Let's simplify for Y. Let's simplify for Y. How are we going to simplify for Y? That's our aim. Y. Then how do we find Y? Basically, from these 3 equations, use them to find the Y. But you can literally use the third equation to find Y. How are you going to use your third equation? So you have found your X values here. So for now, you can use any equation between 1, 2, and 3. But now I'm going to use equation number 3. I'm going to space. So I'm going to just remove these 2 and left with the third equation. Where I see X, I put in negative 1 over 6 to find the first value of Y, and put 1 where I see X to find the next value of Y. Now I'm going to have Y is equals to, I'm going to use this negative 1 over 6 here. So I'm going to have negative 2 plus 2 multiplied by negative 1 over 6. My first value of Y, keep guy, just put it on a calculator. Don't stress yourself. Just say negative 2 plus 2 bracket fraction negative 1 over 6 close bracket equal to, it gives me negative 7 over 3. Then my second value of Y is equals to negative 2 plus 2. I put in 1. Therefore, if you put this on your calculator, when I have negative 2 plus 2 times 1, keep guy, is 0. Therefore, you are done. You are done with simultaneous equation. That is how you simplify it. That is how you simplify it, guys. That's how you simplify it. Thank you, guys. This is our part 1. You can request any questions you want on the comment section for me to simplify it for you. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. You can request any question. Just post it on my personal account or on my email or my contact. I will help you to simplify it. Thank you very much.